What if you are able to multiply your monthly income by 12? That means you turn what you earn over a year into what you earn in just a month. Maybe you earn $30,000 in a year. How about you start earning that in just 1 month? Or maybe you earn 100K in a year. How about you turn that into your monthly income? Now, I want to tell you that it is possible because I've done it. Maybe you don't know anyone in your life who has done this. Someone who has been able to change their annual income into their monthly income. But now you do know one because you know me. Now who the hell am I if you're wondering? I'm Dr. Daniel, a former medical doctor turned entrepreneur. And over the past 3 or so years, I've been able to more than 10 times what I was earning as a medical doctor simply by doing entrepreneurship. And in today's video, I want to show you that it's actually possible and explain to you how exactly you need to be doing it. So stick around right through to the very end. I'm going to share this in 4 huge actionable steps. And the first one is you've got to believe. Now I know this sounds crazy because it feels like it's nothing, but it's actually the most important thing for you to make it big. For you to make it big, for you to be able to do anything, you've got to actually believe that it's possible. And you won't believe that it's possible unless you get testimonies, unless you see other people who have done it, unless you get experiences in one way or another of other people who have done it. You've got to, first of all, plug out of the negative world. You see, the world is very negative, very, very negative. People will tell you terrible things. You know, once you turn on the TV, you're going to be seeing bad news. You're going to be seeing people who are going broke. You're going to be seeing things about the bad economy. Once you turn on your TV, once you go on, your social media, on social media, it's very easy for you to see, the really nice thing. The only problem with it is that, a lot of it is just, staged. You want to see more realistic things. And unfortunately, when you go to the news, it's just the negative stuff. They'll tell you the bad stuff about the economy. They'll tell you the bad stuff about all the thefts happening outside there. They won't share with you the success stories. So you've got to be intentional in actually learning and understanding and getting information about these success stories. I personally love, for example, using YouTube to simply immerse myself and get deeper belief into what I personally believe. I personally believe that, I can make hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. But I don't have any people like that around my life. So what do? I go, for example, on YouTube. There's a particular YouTube channel, I believe it's called School of Hard Knocks. I love watching this YouTube channel because the guy moves around interviewing millionaires. That's all he does, just interviewing millionaires. And this is not just 1, 2, 10. No, hundreds of millionaires each and every day, interviewing multiple millionaires. And these are multiple people telling you exactly how they did it, how they made $5 million, how they made $100 million, how they made, $50 million. And some of them tell you about their stories, coming from poverty, coming from these difficult periods, these difficult times. If you immerse yourself in such content, then you start getting the belief. Then I start thinking about it. I'm like, whoa, I'm probably making, $20,000. I can actually make $1 million because someone came from 20,000 and making $100 million. You've got to believe it. You've got to understand that it is freaking possible. You see, the thing about humanity is that we are so much a kind of people who are influenced by others. Yeah, you might not believe it. You might not actually think it is true, but you're more influenced by others than you can ever imagine. If you ever hear stories or news moving around, for example, of suicides, if someone commits a suicide, more people are likely to commit a suicide because someone else has committed suicide. Usually what happens is that particular things happen in clusters, If you hear about, for example, gun violence, let's say in the US, because over there it's very publicized, yeah? You hear about gun violence. When it starts happening, it happens in seasons, It happens, then the next day there's another, and then after 2 weeks there's another. Why? Because if someone has been thinking about it, and then they hear that someone else actually carried out the act, they're like, whoa, it's actually possible. It's actually something that's doable. And what usually happens is that more people who are similar to the person who did it usually do it. If, for example, someone commits suicide and they're young black, you're more likely over the next few weeks or months to find young black people committing suicide. If then it was an older sportsman, then you're going to hear a lot of older sportsmen actually committing suicides. Why? Not because it's a coincidence, but it's because any other older sportsman who was thinking about committing suicide then starts thinking, whoa, it's actually something that can be done. Then they go outside there and do it. It's called the power of peer pressure, knowing that other people who are like you are actually doing it forces you to go and do it, or kind of inspires you to go do it. Something when it does come to making money. If you then see other people who are doing exactly the same thing, who are like you, then you develop the courage and belief. Recently, I made a post on my X, on my Twitter. If you haven't checked me out, you can go and check me out. The handle is @drdanielmasaba. Just go and check me out. So I made a post on my Twitter sharing my story about how I started my business. In 2019, I bought my very first batch of chickens, and it was was transported using a bicycle. I mean, a bicycle, forget about a motorcycle, a bicycle to the farm. And then 4 years later, that was last year, 2023, I was using my Toyota Hilux. I mean, it's not even a very expensive Toyota Hilux. What? It's a 2015, I believe, yeah? And I was using it to deliver eggs to a client. And in the comment section, of course, there's a lot of positive people, but there'll always be the crappy, negative people wanting to, you know, make it seem like things are not possible. And these guys are like, whoa, how is that possible? How do you move from a bicycle to a Hilux in 4 years? And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell? A Hilux probably costs only about 45,000. And you don't expect me to make 45,000 within 4 years? How the hell are you going to expect to make $1 million if you don't believe you can make $45,000 in a whole 4 years? I mean, yeah. So you've got to believe that it's possible. Now, these are guys who can never make it to the top. I'm here sitting down thinking about how to make 10, 15, $100 million, and someone's head is busting that someone else actually made $45,000 in 4 years. That's really crazy. It's all because they don't believe. It's all because, you know, they don't have these experiences of people who have done it. So you've got to immerse yourself in those experiences. Go outside there, read about these stories, see other people's experiences. Once you get the belief, then your mind is opened up to the fact that it's actually possible, yeah? Then you can start doing something about it. Then when a deal comes up, it feels like a deal that is worthy of you, you know? If you don't believe that you can do particular things, when the opportunities present themselves in your face, most probably you'll not take them, you'll not do them, because it will feel like it's outside your area of control. So you've got to believe it, you've got to understand that it's actually possible, then everything else becomes easier. Step number 2 is think outside your job. Now, your job is the very long way of you getting to, you know, 10 times, 12 times your monthly income. It is possible, but it will take you forever. I'll give you guys an example of how I could have gotten there as a doctor. By the time I quit as a doctor, I was earning around $1,200 as a doctor. Now, I know you're thinking to yourself, what the hell? A doctor earning 1,200? Yes, I'm in Uganda, I'm not in the US, I'm not in the UK. I mean, I'm not in one of those countries. So I was earning 1,200. So for me to be able to turn my annual income into my monthly income, I would have to be earning upwards of $14,000 a month. How the hell was I ever going to do that? Of course, not as, you know, the average doctor. I would have to go back to school and specialize in one or another. Now, I would have gone back to school for at least 3 years or 4 years. That would be an extra 4 years that I'm actually losing out on. And I'm paying tuition. You know, I would have to pay tuition for me. So again, I'm wasting a lot of time, yeah? But then as soon as I get out, of course, I'm more skilled and now I'm able to, you know, get a higher paying job. So maybe I'll move from my 1,200 to, let's say, 2,500. Maybe they'll double my income. Yeah, I get another place, they double my income. So it's still 2,500, it's not 14K. And then maybe I get a second place to work. You know, maybe this place I'm working, let's say 7 hours. I get another place where I get to work maybe 5 hours and they're paying me more, maybe 2,500 again. Still, it's 5,000. And then maybe over the years with experience, I'll grow to maybe 4K at each job. I mean, that's if I'm really good. I've gotten some really good places to work at. Then maybe they'll double each one of them and I'll get to 8K. In the end, it's 8K, it's still not 14K. And so I'll be 50 years old or, you know, 60 years old and I'm earning 8K and I feel like I've really made it, but I've still not even 10 times what I was earning earlier on. So yes, the problem with your job is that you're not in control. You can't control the outcome of things. That's the disadvantage. You've got to be in control. And how the hell do you get in control? By starting a business. A business is what will get you to 10 times, 12 times what you're earning currently. With a job, you're not in control. It's all upon the mercy of the government, if you're working for the government, or for your boss. Whoever you're working for, it all depends on them. Now you're thinking to yourself, what? Is that the only way to get there? Starting a business? Well, tell me, what are the alternatives? Save your way there. It's going to take you forever. I mean, of course, unless you're saving each and everything, but again, those are not earnings. Saving your way there means you're going to have extra money at a particular point, but those are not earnings. So it's okay to save, you know, save money. It's important that you save money, but you're not going to save yourself to earnings. You're talking about earnings, money coming into your pocket, not money you're reserving somewhere. So of course, that's not going to work. Invest your way there. That's 100% possible if you're doing real estate. But number one, you've got to be in the correct place for the real estate, because real estate is also something that's quite delicate. You need to be in the correct place. You need to make sure that the place has the correct market and it's the right trend, things like that. You understand and do your deals very well, but also you need a ton of money to invest into real estate to be able to do that. So real estate is a practical way, but I mean, it's very complicated and not everyone can do it. Number two, invest maybe through stocks. Yeah, Maybe you can do that, but well, that takes a really long time. Yeah, maybe 10, 12, 15 years. For me currently, I'm 32 years. I don't want to wait until I'm 42 years to be able to, have a great amount of money. Now, it's not like I don't want to have a lot of money when I'm 42 years. Yes, I want to have a lot of money when I'm 42, but I also want to have a lot of money when I'm 32. Right now, I don't want to wait for a whole 10 years before I can 10x my income. Yeah, so I want it now and I want it later. And so the advantage with business is that you can multiply your income really quickly. It just depends on the level of work that you put in, the effort, the dedication, the creativity, only that, and then everything else is in your control. I mean, you're in 100% control of your destiny, of your future, of what you can actually make out of it. That's why I actually advise people to do that. Now, of course, I could have started it as a doctor. I mean, you can do a business while you're working your job. Of course, you can do a business while you're working your job, and it's great. I mean, there are doctors who are doing it. So they are doctors, and then they start a hospital. Now, not that they're not making the money because they're a doctor. They're making the money because they're a business owner, because they have started a hospital or because they've started another business. For me particularly, when I started out my business, it was agribusiness that I started with. It was a farming business. I started it out as a doctor. I didn't first quit my job and then went and started the business. No, I was a doctor and then I started the business, and that's how I was able to grow. So you can do whatever profession you're at, and then you also start something else on the side, and that thing can actually grow if you give it the attention and the dedication. It can grow and multiply your income. Remember, we're talking about your income. We're not talking about salary. We're not talking about the amount that you're getting from a particular place. We're talking about all the money that you're bringing in over the month. Yeah, that's what we want to grow. Step number 3 is you've got to work hard. Yes, you've got to work hard. You've got to put in the effort. I'll tell you what I used to do when I was a doctor. I used to be a doctor, and when I started my business, I had to work Mondays to Fridays. So luckily enough for me, most of my weekends were free. For Saturdays, once in a while I would work, but most of the Saturdays I was free, and the Sundays definitely free. So I would go to church once in a while, yeah? But as soon as I'm done with my work, I would travel to the farm, and over there, as soon as I get to the farm, I would just put on my overall, put on my gumboots, and enter the chicken house. Start checking out how the chickens are doing, how they are feeding, how the production is, how everything is going, how the guys are managing the work and everything. Now you're thinking to yourself, well, that's too much hard work. You're doing everything yourself. Is it even scalable? How do you grow? How do you multiply if you're doing everything yourself? Well, the most important thing is if you're putting in the hard work and you're doing the hard work yourself right at the start, it gives you quite a number of advantages. Number 1, you're learning the skills required to succeed in the business. At that point, I wasn't making crazy amounts of money. In fact, I was actually making losses, yeah, because I was learning, and there were a few issues at the beginning, so I was actually making losses. But number 1, I was learning the skills involved in the business itself. I was learning the day-to-day activities involved. If I got to a particular point and I needed to hire someone, I knew exactly what I needed to do. Every time something came up and every time something went wrong, I would go up and read. I would get out of the house, go read, open my phone, go on the internet, and I'm reading, I'm trying to research, trying to understand how to correct the issues. So it's very important at the beginning, despite the fact that there is a lot of hard work and a lot of effort going in, you're actually mastering the skill. I mean, for a lot of people, it takes a lot of money for them to master these skills. They have to pay a lot of money. And of course, you want to be at the point where you actually pay money to learn the skills instead of utilizing experience, because the problem with experience is that it takes a really long time. And the second thing is that you could lose a lot of money over the time because you're making mistakes, which mistakes can actually cost you a lot of money. So if you can spend the money at the beginning to learn and pay for the knowledge deficit, that would be perfect. But a lot of times you might not be able to do that. For me personally, I wasn't able to do that because number 1, I didn't know anyone who I could pay to learn from. But number 2, I don't think I did have the money at that particular point to do that. I believe that maybe if I'd found the person, I would probably have sacrificed and paid the money, but I didn't find anyone. So you might be in a position where you don't know anyone, but currently with the internet and everything, there's a lot of people doing almost everything that you want to start. So you can pay someone, you can learn. But that's the importance. At the beginning, despite the very hard work and despite the unscalable nature of the fact that it's you doing the work, you're learning. But number 2, you're getting to know where the potential failure points are. So every time that I failed, I identified where a failure point is, and that is very important because then I pay a lot of emphasis to that. And also, when I get other people involved, then I can train them and tell them exactly what to expect and what to pay a keen eye on. I understand where the potential failure points are, so it is important, to build your bank of knowledge and also reduce your risk of failure later on after you scale. The number 3, you become a better manager. When you go through these experiences, the hard times, the complicated times of learning things, you then become a better manager, because number 1, you know exactly what the person you're then leading is going through. You understand what exactly they're experiencing, so you won't be too harsh on them, but also won't be too nice of them, because you know exactly what to expect and you know exactly what they need to be doing. So generally you become a better manager and have better results. And then number 4, you understand the price to pay. All success has a price. All types of success have a price, and a lot of times the reason people actually don't attain particular results is because they don't understand the price to pay. You imagine a lot of times that you're going to have a particular amount of success with this little amount of work, but if you are directly involved and see the effort that it takes to get particular results, then you understand the price to pay. Then you understand the extent of work that needs to go in. Then you understand the extent of money that needs to go in. If you're seeing everything else from the outside, you might have expectations, but you can't really relate them with the input, and you're thinking to yourself, well, it feels like I'm doing too much but getting so little out of it. But if you understand the nitty-gritties of what is involved, then you understand that for you to get this much results, you need this much amount of work. And so even later on, when you do scale, you understand exactly how much work needs to go in for you to get particular results. So yes, you've got to get busy. You've got to get busy and work hard on the business. There are a lot of people who are broke, they're not earning money, and they're not working. I keep thinking to myself when I meet such groups of people, what the hell are you doing? You're not making any money, you're not working, but you're busy. You're busy and you're broke. That's not possible. That's not something that should be happening to you. You're either busy and trying to work something, or you're rich. If you're rich, then you can say, well, I'm busy. But if you're broke, you can't say that you're busy. How do you be busy when you're broke? You need to do something about the fact that you're actually broke, and that means you need to get work. Every time I meet broke people who are actually not working but busy doing a lot of other things that you can't put a finger on, then I don't understand. It's okay if for you feel like you're doing a lot of things, but then you have no complaint about the fact that you're broke. You're comfortable living that kind of life, and you won't complain to anyone that you're broke. You won't complain when you get sick and you can't go to hospital. It's okay, be quiet, stay where you are. Don't go and stress other people. Don't go and ask other people for money. But then if you want to be in a position where you want to ask other people for money, then you need to make sure that you're doing something about it. You've got to work hard. You've got to put in the effort. So again, you can't be busy and broke. Go outside there, do something about it. If you're broke, you don't have money, then you've got to work really, really hard. Very, very hard. I personally work very hard, and I'm not broke. Currently I'm not broke. So I put in all the effort. Even when I was broke, I wouldn't let myself sit outside there. I've told you guys, right from the time I was at the university, I used to do all kinds of gigs. I worked as a DJ. Anytime I would be free and there's some form of event or something somewhere, I'd go and ask them, hey, can I be the one playing the music? I'll get paid for that. Or maybe there's a dinner or something like that. I was the MC at a lot of dinners on the university. Why? Because I needed to get money. Then later on, I decided to start a business. I would start selling bumper stickers on the university campus while I was still at university. I didn't accept to be broke. I got myself busy. I got myself doing something. And in those actions, I actually learned something. So you've got to get busy. You've got to put in the hard work. And I've actually made a video about how to start a business that cannot fail. You're thinking to yourself, well, if you're telling me to start a business, the biggest percentage of businesses fail. That is very true. But yours doesn't need to be amongst the biggest percentage that fails. You can do particular things to ensure that your business doesn't fail. So I'll leave a link to that video in the description. Check it out. And then finally, step number 4 is scale. Scale the business. What the hell is scaling? Scaling is increase in size. You're increasing your operation. You're increasing what you can do. So you've got to scale. I hope you're actually doing a business that's scalable. If you did decide to start a business, you decide to start a business that's scalable. There are some businesses that are scalable, and some, it doesn't matter how much you try to scale, there's a limit on what you can do. I'll give you guys an example. At some point, I decided to start a dog business. I wanted to do dog breeding because someone told me it's actually very profitable. When I did the math, it's actually a very profitable business. Considering how much money you put in and how much you get out, dogs are sold quite expensively if they're really good breeds. And you don't put in too much trying to raise the dogs. I was like, whoa, the margins are really good. This is something to consider. So I actually got myself some dogs. I had started, getting in. But then at some point I realized, I was like, well, I'm going to start breeding dogs. I reach a point where I have maybe 100 dogs. Can I sell 20 dogs every month? Is that something that's actually possible? Am I going to be able to sell 100 dogs every month at a particular point? No, there's no I'm going to be able to sell 100 dogs every month. There are not so many people who are willing to buy dogs. There are not so many. I'm going to be putting in a lot of effort, training the dogs, getting the skills, getting people to work for me, and then I don't have people to buy the dogs. So yes, I might be able to sell 2, 3, maybe 5, maybe 10 dogs a month. But the point is going to reach where I can't sell sell 40 dogs a month. Yet I put in a lot of effort trying to grow and scale the business. So I told myself, hell, I'll stop here, I'll leave it right here. So for me, it wasn't a scalable business. So you've got to make sure that you pay attention and focus on a business that you can scale, a business that you can grow, sell 10 times, 100 times, a million times what you started with. That's the kind of business that you want to be doing. So yes, how do you then scale a business? 3 different ways. First one, do more of what you're doing. So maybe you're selling a particular, let's say, software to businesses. So you sell a software that helps other businesses run their business as well. So maybe you've been trying to advertise and reach out to particular businesses. So you make, let's say, 3 calls every day to different businesses and you make a particular number of sales. So then how do you scale? Make 5 calls every day, make 10 calls every day, make 50 calls every day. You, who has been making 3 calls every day, scale it up to 50 calls every day. It's freaking possible. You just need to work harder, put in a bit more effort, put in a bit more dedication, and then you'll be able to reach the bigger numbers. So yes, that's how you begin, yeah? Do more of what you've been doing. The same thing that has been working for you, do more and more of it. If out of every 3 calls you are making to businesses to sell your software, you are selling 1 of the softwares, then if you make 300 calls, then you're going to sell 100 softwares. Isn't it obvious, yeah? So just make sure that you do more of what you've been doing. The second way of scaling is do what you've been doing, but this time instead of doing it one-on-one, do it in groups. That way you're utilizing, let's say if you are spending 30 minutes, let's imagine you are selling a particular product to mothers, yeah? And you are spending 30 minutes talking to every mother, making an appointment with every mother, and spending 30 minutes with every mother. Then make appointments with groups of mothers. Reach out to groups of mothers. You know, the advantage with a lot of business things that you can target is that a lot of them are in groups, yeah? So you can move around your city, your country, and you'll find a lot of groups of mothers. You know, they get together, they have some forms of group. Then schedule that you don't only need to meet 1 mother, you need to meet, let's say, 30 mothers on every group. So if every day you had to, let's say, have calls or meetings with 5 mothers, then what's going to happen is that every day you're going to be meeting 5 groups of 30 mothers. So just like that, you've moved from 5 mothers to 130 mothers. That's the second way that you can actually scale up. And then the third way is training others to do what you do. For me, for example, earlier on when I started out, I was, doing a lot of the work, the management, the follow-up, and everything that happens on my farms. Currently, I do so little of it. How? Because I've trained others to do that. Then I can focus on doing other things and scaling the business and, starting other businesses in particular areas and placing people who I have trained in those particular places to run those particular places, yeah? So of course, training is not easy. You've got to work with people, get them from ground zero. But a lot of people actually come when they have a lot of knowledge, Don't just go and get random people from random places. Make sure that you get people who are skilled, people who understand what they are doing, and train them as much possible. So yes, training is not easy, but it's the price to pay, yeah? You can't do everything yourself. You've got to get other people, trust them, give them the skills required for them to do exactly what you want them to do, and then they'll be able to, do the things and scale up your business. So these are the 3 ways that you can scale up your business. And one way of you actually turning your annual income into your monthly income is actually using the internet, because this can be a passive way of you making money without you moving and going to particular places, without you multiplying your current business, simply using the internet. So I've personally done it and I know you can do it. I've made a video about how you can make at least $100 a day simply using your phone. I'll leave a link to that video, check it out right here. It's a quick and easy way for you multiplying your income. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, smash the notification bell. Catch you very soon with another video. Lots of love. Bye-bye.